Hi, so we're going to talk about the end in family, grudge, and hubris. So, good morning, and let's start with this. So, we don't have the way we could do the spirituality, and we are too intentional, and for that reason, we could not build the cohesion, the community, the strong bond, the connection, and communicating with each other. We could not do it anymore. We don't do that. And let's say if we are really connected with our kid and we could understand each other, when a child is born with all his power and ability, that is all we can see in them, and they start living like like a doll, are not so live to us. We start taking them for granted, and in the beginning we want to have kid. We would not be happy without kid. We need kid. We need children for ourselves. At the moment we have kid, we start looking at them as a different entity, and we do not try to build that with understand them using the ability of our empathy, but we actually try to connect with your kid with wording, with intentions, with by not looking at them. So we take them for granted, so we don't look at them, and for we don't observe them, and for that reason you can see that we enforce our own intention and own narrative to them, because we see there's a big problem that we don't believe that something would just happen. We believe we have to make happen, and that's intentionalism. For that reason we want to have our kid and to make our kid something that is desirable, and we try to judge them by the capability of them trying to of their capability of being that thing you want. We judge them by that, and if they're not, we judge them poorly. So the difference is that instant purpose is a thing that every moment gives a person a purpose to do something in the moment, and it would literally give them like natural. It's a natural purpose engineering, I said. If naturally a person would be able to improve, like it's not improve, but the narrative would continue and they would grow. They'd automatically reach the places God wants them to be. And what to do is we try to don't believe in that. We try to enforce our intention so that we were sure that it will happen. But in that case, we try to be sure to make something happen. We could not, because we don't understand their narrative. Their narrative breaks down, and they break down. They can't actually do the thing anymore or anything they want. They just become the master of escapism, that I say, that they start skipping everything, even their intuition and their ideas. So I have to understand that, does family control? To understand that, if family controls, a child is born because we needed a child. After the child is growing up, and we see that we cannot control their narrative. They are strong, or they are not cohesive or cooperating. So the reason they are not cooperating, because we lose the connection with them, and we actually uh, using our hubris, because they are a child, we use our hubris to behave as we want. Anyway, we we don't have managed behaviors with our kids, and that creates a hubris, and that creates the growth in the kid, and we lose the connection. So like first 1 to 3 years, when things happens like this, the kid starts being different, then it would naturally be with the connection with the parents. So what we do is we get scared again. I feel like, okay, screw love, we gotta make our kid so that they don't break the whole structure of the family. So we try to control the kid now in many ways, because we screw up, we don't have any faith, and now we just want to control the kids so they don't break the structure of the family. And if they do that, they would have literally problem with their retirement plan. In the old days, people would not be able to survive without their kid, and that's the faith in people, and that's why the retirement plan comes in, when we feel like we can't control our kid, and that creates a huge fight that nobody would give up. A kid would not give up their narrative, and the parents would not lose their future security for the old days. So this becomes a fight, and the most of the family dramas comes from these things. Now we understand that, if you ask, does family control or do family control? Yeah, we control each other, and this provider, this family is also a control structure, and we gotta be enforcing rules, and we gotta be control the community. And to control the community, since we don't have the cohesion, the understanding and bonding with each other, we would always end up creating hubris, because I'm an elder, you are a younger, I'm father, you are a child, and I would try to control you. I would use like I said, I take the youngers for granted, or even some elders who are not in power, I would take them for granted, and I would use my control to them, and they would also try to take over and take the control away from me to become the powerful one. They will try to do that also. This games always continues, and we keep going with this narrative, and at some point, of course, it all breaks down, and we lose the structure, and we separate family, and that caused the problem of like the natural way of being with the family and the power of family. We would lose that in the situations, and actually this would give us no solution, and we would be always scared of that our families also gonna be have the same problem. Like if a kid is coming from a broken family, he would think like his family would also go broke, and he would not have trust in the system, in the family, and he would do the same, because there is no trust. He would you need intention now, and intentionally control the outcome of your family. So now he would do the same to his kid, and this loop would just keep going on. So this is like I say that since this is a kid, and we get scared and try to judge the kid based on their capability of being something in the future, what we create is clash among our narratives and enforce narratives. Is clash because we try to enforce our narrative to them, and they don't understand, they don't learn it, because there's a thing called, there's a limit. A person like without intention, people could copy each other's flow, each other's learning, but with intention you cannot actually copy each other's intention and narrative. If I try to enforce it, and also you go through the learning cycle, and I don't know which point you are, and I would be enforcing something, and you're probably in the breakup phase, you don't want to listen any more information there, so it would keep happening. So the clash between narratives would happen, and the powerful ones will show their hubris, and the weak ones will show their grudge, okay. So which creates a full-blown intentionalism in our mind, that we only worship intentionality, because now this creates a conflict, stress and anxiety. Now the job of anxiety in this situation would make the world more and more real and vivid, and would make you smarter, because you all you want to do is use your intentionalism, use your techniques to be someone. So like to pass this, to fight this, to solve this conflict. This way you start worshipping intentionality. So intentionality keeps growing, keeps coming. It comes from the family first. So it's just the way. So crazy that intentionality is not accurate in most cases, as it can't access the greater consciousness. So intentionalism is not the most accurate thing unless we are really good at predicting things intentionally. Some people are really smart, they could, but still at some point, like it's really short time they could be accurate. The most of the time people are going to be wrong, and their mental reality, the state of the reality, mental reality will get distorted, and because of this distortion, people would feel bad. People would come back to society and family again to synchronize with the society, which is a very common thing. Yeah, now it is a very common thing. So we usually, to get the access to the greater consciousness, is to have a desire or purpose towards something. So if you have a desire and a purpose, but you do other thing, that's the way you get information. Because let's say you are trying to understand something, you have a desire, you have a purpose, you can't understand it, you give up, you go and do other things, and now you get ideas of that thing that you give up. So that's how it works for human beings. And as crazy as it sounds, when you give up, you get knowledge, because intentionality loses, and you get connection with the God. So the reason we gain ideas while doing other things, because we don't have intention at those moments, so our mind could access, and naturally all ideas needed to fulfill the desire. But when a kid is fully committed to worshipping intentionalism, they fail to access the greater consciousness and suffer miserably. This causes real suffering for the kid, because they start worshipping intentionalism, start being clever, start being much more smart, cunning, fighter, anger, because anger is a is the extreme phase of intentionalism, because you ask that with anger, because is the absolute reality. Now you can tolerate this breaking of some structure in that reality, you must keep it. And that's why anger is a worst case of intentionalism. But also anger is really natural and normal. I'm not villainizing anger, because it is really necessary also. Because honest people who has this who faces and observes the ethical paradox of genuine thinking, ethical paradox of manipulation, communication. When people see that, they get angry with them, angry with themselves, and they develop more and more, and they understand the world better and better. So anger actually makes the world more real, more understanding. So that's a part of intentionalism also, but it's also a learning tool. Like you said, I'm not against intentionalism. This is not what I mean. It's a discussion about speculative intentionalism and normal intentionalism that helps us to create this intentional world. The world is created by God with it, and He put intentions in intentional being like us in the world. And now the devil could use these intentions and speculate and make us do bad things. That's the whole picture. So all the suffering brings grudge against the family and the world. Okay, now we'll talk about the evolvement here. Evolution or evolvement, I think it's the word evolution, probably the word. So the evolution means like it's like a theory of everything. There is a but this is not theory of everything. This is everything theory by me, because I make weird theories. I give them name that doesn't even make sense. So everything theory means you go through evolution through a lot of things. Let's say you are learning music, you gotta go through the phases. You go through on the listening period, listening, understanding the how to listen, understanding how to sing, how to make those things together. So you grow in every situation, every way. You try to learn some topic, you go through the evolution, and everything evolves, and these things evolves into really weird way. The family drama gives us some problem. This is crazy, because you probably think this kid would really be suffering in his life, so he should be sad. But actually, these people can't even stand the world without being happy. So they try to be extra happy. They're smiling. And they're talking in every situation, they're smiling, because they can't handle the normal world anymore. They don't have, the brain is burned out, and they can't really, without a extra pressuring, they can't even think. So they always have to be happy, to say their mind that it's fine, don't worry, no problem. So what happens is that we create a psychopath, because people who smiles in situations, in all situations, basically become psychopath. That's one of the characteristic of psychopath. But normally, not everybody is psychopath. It's very low situation. But what I'm saying is, normally people who like try to be smiling, like try to be happy after the suffering, are actually after the trauma, are actually, it is called post-traumatic growth, which is like in the post-traumatic growth, people try to be happy to say that okay, we're good. And after the post-traumatic growth, like using the pendulum effect, like people go through the phases of life, and they become happy, sad, and slowly it just brings up the normality in some way way for them. So this is how actually we try to fight those family stress, family drama, and family trauma. And the evolution of everything here is that everything, if you actually, when you try to learn music and slowly you learn the notes, the instruments, the voice, the listening power, that would be all right. If you think like that would be all, that's the music. You don't think like physics is music. We don't need to learn that. We don't need to learn our social structure for music. You don't need to learn mathematics, because we just want to do music. But slowly, like if you are a mathematician, your music and mathematics will connect, and you will explain mathematics from music, and you will explain music from mathematics. You try to do that. That's what I say everything theory, because now everything you know can be describable by everything you know. As evolvement happen, that's because our desire to make everything a perspective. From the desired perspective. So this is a game of perspective. Using this game, we actually develop the network of perspectives without intention. So things that are not in intention, we can say unconscious things, but those things happen. Now, the result of this kind of growth, post-traumatic growth, that we try to see the whole world from that lens. When we try to look at the whole world from the lens of anxiety, stress, and abuse, trauma, and post-traumatic growth and post-traumatic disorder, you can see anxiety. We can find anxiety everywhere, stress everywhere, and that's the reason that we think anxiety is a villain. And most disorders in psychology are anxiety related explicitly, and others are result of anxiety. But what do you think is that hides the way that how anxiety helping us to learn, because their ability to live without being happiness, like with enforcing happiness, is ruined. They can't live normally. They can't actually face or face the regulation. They can tolerate regulation. You see, the whole thing in the family is that if the hubris and grudge is there is no regulation in that family, because everybody is fighting everyone. Emotional regulation, character development, personal boundary, all those things comes from regulation. And if you cannot go in front of regulation, because that gives you a fear of control, like fear of others controlling. Others can control you with regulation, and because of this, normal social structure cannot be built. This regulation builds the actual social structure and relationships. So the regulations are social structures and relationships. So when the regulations are not tolerable, we fear of other people controlling us with regulation. At those point, we see the whole world using this, and we try to fight anyone regulating. So that's the modern world today. You see, this sounds really scary, really bad. This is a loop. This is a paradox. This keeps going. It doesn't stop. It's always gonna help or hurt us many way. But anxiety is the defining factor for our learning. You can just hate it. You gotta manage. You gotta use managed anxiety, managed happiness, and that's the truth.